Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Teen Bandhu Jagatpate Kupesha Kupika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So we'll continue our discussion on chapter 18 from verse number 41 onwards to 48. This is the absolute last discussion on Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. Obviously, it's going to be a very heavy discussion today. And we will try to revise chapter 9 and chapter 10. Time permitting, we will definitely revise chapter 9. Chapter 10 will depend on how many inquiries we have, and we may run out of time today, but let's see. So we are on this section 4, verses 41 to 48. Title is Karma Yoga offered to Krishna. This section explains how Karma Yoga can be offered to Krishna. So chapter 18 started with Arjuna's question, which is effectively what Arjuna has already asked before at the start of chapter 3 and at the start of chapter 5. So Arjuna's question at the start of chapter 18 is action better or is renunciation better? In chapter 18, it's just that Arjuna has rephrased the same question as what is tyag and what is sannyas. Essentially, they are the same questions if you read through the start of chapter 3, start of chapter 5, and start of chapter 18. So Krishna responds that rather than renouncing work, one should work with detachment. To describe how working with detachment will keep one free from bondage, in this chapter 18, section 2, which was verses 13 to 19, title was Jnana of the Karma Yogi, Krishna described 5 factors of action that for any action to happen in the material world, these 5 factors are required. Jiva desires, Ishvara sanctions, Prakriti executes, the senses and the endeavor. These are the 5 factors. Then in section 3, verses 20 to 40, Krishna described the various components of action. That is Jnana, Karma, Karta, Buddhi, Dhriti, as well as Sukha under the 3 modes. And we populated a huge chart for all these points. After describing how a Karma Yogi with Jnana can be free from bondage, so how this is integrated into the social structure of Varnashram and how people become elevated through Varnashram is what is discussed here in this chapter 18, section 4, verses 41 to 48. So from verse 41 onwards, Krishna describes how one rises from karma yoga through varnashram, through jnana yoga, and ultimately comes to bhakti yoga. Shruti, verse 41 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Verse 41 translation. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy.
So 18.41 verse has the division of the Varnas. This is identical, almost identical verse to 4.13, where we have already discussed the Varnashram point, and essentially that Varnashram discussion is again coming up in these 3-4 verses. So if you want to conquer the influence of the modes, you will have to follow the system of Varnashram. Without such a structured arrangement, just having our own individual endeavor is going to be quite an uphill task. So there will be people in the material world with these tendencies of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Varnashram system is to categorize people according to their nature and according to their tendencies, so that everybody can become elevated when they are engaged in Krishna's service according to their nature. Krishna will describe the qualities of each varna in upcoming couple of verses. Now, just by being an intellectual, one cannot make spiritual advancement. Yes, one has to be intellectual, plus one has to have a social structure where one uses his intellectual ability in a way that leads to gradual spiritual advancement. But if this learning is not connected with the ultimate purpose of life, the ultimate goal of self-realization, the Krishna realization, then such learning is not of much use. Just acting according to one's propensities does not lead to playing a role in Varnashram. One has to do karma within dharmic framework. So if one is intellectual, then one should study and teach spiritual knowledge, then that will lead to spiritual elevation. Now, not to glorify me, but I had given my own example for this, that when I was studying accountancy back in India, so I had this knack that I will remember this very long alphanumeric numbers for all these court cases. But that on itself did not do any elevation for me, did not do any spiritual elevation for me. But now I am using that same ability to remember those numerical references. I'm using it in Krishna's service, that all of you, almost all of you, know that how I'm able to remember these verses, references. Again, not to glorify me, just giving a live example. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. There's a lot of heavy discussion coming up. All right. So in verse number 42, Krishna will list 9 qualities of a Brahmana. Shravanshi, 42 translation.
Hare Krishna. There is no okay. Yes. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work.
So as devotees, we also try to develop these Brahmanical qualities, as many as possible, for our own steady spiritual advancement. So I have a question for all of you. All of you try to answer this. So this Brahmana discussion is going to be eye-opener, as well as this whole Varnashram discussion. So question for all of you is that in these qualities of Brahmana in 18.42, where is bhakti? Everybody, please answer.
Maybe in religiousness.
Okay. The rest of you, where is bhakti?
Prabhuji, knowledge and religiousness.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
So,
all of this?
yeah, well, not all qualities are bhakti, but those who are in batch 5 as well as batch 3 and 4, we have discussed the difference between religiosity and spirituality. So, although some of you pointed out religiousness, that on itself is not bhakti. I'm looking for bhakti. Rest of you have not answered. Where is bhakti?
Prabhuji, like it's not there unless the Brahmana offers it as all these services to Krishna.
All right. Rest of you. I want to
Hare
hear
Krishna
from.
Prabhuji, self-control and tolerance and knowledge.
Yeah, are they bhakti? They are
This leads
qualities.
to bhakti.
Yeah, they are qualities, but where is bhakti?
Prabhuji, I think purity can be a part of bhakti.
Yeah, they can all be part of bhakti, but where is bhakti? Many of you have not answered.
There is no bhakti, Prabhuji, because devotional service is not written.
All right. Few of you have not yet answered. Where is bhakti?
The work
Prabhuji,
they
it's
do,
not.
the bhakti is the work they are doing.
Okay, Priya.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it's not explicitly mentioned, but these are perhaps the framework that one has to develop and leading to bhakti. I don't know, Prabhuji.
Right. So here's the answer that there is no mention of bhakti. So Abhishek Prabhu and Palomi are correct, but there is no mention. I mean, some others also mentioned that it is not explicitly mentioned. So then it becomes a follow-up question. Does it mean Brahmana does not have to have bhakti? The answer is not necessarily. So the relevant quality or the closest that you can you can relate with bhakti is ashtikyam, means faith in scripture. So you go to the third line in the Sanskrit, although Prabhupada has translated that as religiousness. So some of you were on the right track, but we have also discussed that religiosity and spirituality are completely different. So faith in scripture or faith in the principles of Vedic culture simultaneously understand that this faith in scripture and Vedic principles does not have to be the highest faith, because Brahmanas can be of different levels. So Brahmana may not have faith in pure devotion, but as long as they have faith in scripture, faith in existence of higher power, such faith is a characteristic of the life of Brahmana. Now, bhakti may not always be there in a Brahmana. From the material point of view, Brahmana is a high Varna because of the qualities we just read. They live an austere life. They are able to have mind and sense control, plus all the 9 qualities that we discussed. Because of these qualities, they are little higher Varna. Now, all Varnas are equal, higher in terms of voluntarily following an austere life. But from a devotional perspective, that Brahmana is not favorably situated just by having these 9 qualities, as compared to somebody who is born as a Shudra in a low family, but is a devotee. Such low-born Shudra devotee with high devotion is higher than a Brahmana. Devotees are higher than Brahmana. So Varnashram is a material division, as Abhishek Prabhu correctly pointed out in the chat. The idea is that Varnashram creates a platform for transcendence. So the qualities, if you want to look at that, sama, for example, mind control, dhamma means sense control. And if the mind gets agitated, then at least we don't act according to the lower temptations. Another quality, tapa, that Brahmana are expected to live an austere life. Then was shanti, tolerance, that Brahmanas generally don't raise weapons. So there is an exception in Bhagavatam about Venas killing by Brahmanas. But generally, Brahmanas don't raise weapons. And even Vena was not killed by weapons. Rather, he was killed by chanting mantras. So if Brahmanas are attacked, they learn to tolerate. They just tolerate. Another quality is arjavam, honesty. So Brahmanas should not speak falsehood. They are meant to speak the ultimate truth and take people to the ultimate truth. So more discussion on this Brahmana point and Varnashram is coming up after we discuss the qualities of the other Varnas. I'm pretty sure some of you will have questions about Brahmana. So let the discussion on Varnashram get finished today, very soon, next couple of verses. And then I will pause for questions, comments, realizations, because some of your questions will soon get answered. Abhishek Prabhu has a point. Let me read what he's saying in the chat. Is calling ISKCON a Brahminical organization, or saying purpose of ISKCON is to create Brahminical qualities an incorrect understanding? As devotees also, we are suggested to try to aim of these Brahminical qualities. So, ISKCON develops or provides an avenue where you can develop devotional qualities, and some of the Brahminical qualities are also there in devotional qualities. So Brahminical culture, you don't just have to stop there. You have to go on to become a Vaishnava. So I already explained briefly that Brahmanas, there are levels of Brahmanas. In ISKCON, you have at the highest level of Brahmana, and you also have Vaishnavas. Now, the discussion coming up in upcoming verses is, you will be surprised to know that demons who also perform yajnas, they also have Brahmana in their community. Now, that Brahmana is not a demon. That Brahmana is also there at a low end. Then you have Brahmana in the middle end, then at a high end. So there will be categories of Brahmanas. Abhishek Prabhu, does that help you time being? There's more discussion coming up. All right. So let's finish reading the qualities of other Varnas, and we will continue our discussion on the Varnashram and Brahmana. Discussion will come up again. Riya, 43 translation. So these are qualities of a Kshatriya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward, we won't go into details. These are straightforward qualities, although nowadays we don't even have anybody obviously with a Kshatriya quality. And similarly, verse 44 has qualities of Shudra and Vaishya, are also straightforward verses. Raksha, 44 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras, there are labor and service to others. Hare Krishna.
So these are qualities of Vaishya and Shudra, that serving others is the role of Shudra. Now, Shudra is not undesirable. We will soon discuss this at great length in the next verse. So certain people have certain propensities, and they act according to those propensities. Hence, Krishna places them in particular Varna. Questions, comments, realizations before we discuss the next heavy verse? Priyadarshini, 45 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, text 45. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. Hare Krishna.
So, have undivided attention on this Varnashram discussion. We have discussed this Varnashram in 4.13. It's been a while. So Varnashram can be of different types. One is Vedic Varnashram. Another is Asuric Varnashram. and third is Daivi Varnashram. So Vedic Varnashram generally would be based on birth. Asuric Varnashram is largely what is prevailing in India for quite some time now. The characteristics of Asura is that they delight at bodily level. All their pleasures are at bodily level. This is Asuric inclination and Asuric tendencies, means this is demoniac tendency. So somebody born in a Brahmana family, they call themselves as higher caste. They take the power, the privilege, and instead of cooperating with other Varnas, they exploit the lower caste, meaning they exploit the lower Varnas for their own selfish purpose. So understand that the four Varnas of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, there is no such thing as higher Varna or lower Varna. It is these people who want to take advantage, who are at bodily concept of life, who have misinterpreted Krishna's arrangement for their own benefit, and therefore it is Asuric Varnashram. So Abhishek Prabhu, you are correct that Asuric Varnashram is man-made, modern concept. Krishna did not create Varnashram as being higher or lower. Krishna has clearly said in 4.13, Chaturvarnyam Maya system guna karma vibhagasa, that I divide the social structure according to guna and karma, not by birth. So for Shruti's inquiry, the Varnashram can be Vedic Varnashram. Asuric Varnashram means demoniac Varnashram, or Daivi Varnashram. So Daivi Varnashram is what we'll discuss now, that Krishna's Varnashram, or the Varnashram that Krishna created, is actually Daivi Varnashram. So in Daivi Varnashram, the idea is that everybody is meant to serve Krishna according to their nature. In Vedic Varnashram, the progress or elevation on the path of spirituality is linear, meaning if Shudra does his Shudra duties properly, then in future life, the Shudra will become a Vaishya. Then in the Vaishya life, if he does his duties as a Vaishya properly, then he will become a Kshatriya. And when he does his Kshatriya duties properly in the subsequent lives, then he will become Brahmana. And eventually, in the Brahmanical life, he will become liberated. So this step-by-step linear progress, this is Vedic Varnashram. But this is not what Krishna created. In Daivi Varnashram, the progression is vertical, meaning a person is a Shudra. He does his activities properly as a Shudra. He goes back home, back to Godhead from his Shudra body. Similarly, a Vaishya does his duties according to a Vaishya without going to the next Varna. Vaishya also goes back home, back to Godhead. Similarly, a Kshatriya does his Kshatriya duties properly, and he also goes back home, back to Godhead. And Brahmana also does his Brahmanical duties properly. He also goes back home, back to Godhead. So a Shudra does not have to come to a Brahmana Varna to go back home, back to Godhead. This is Daivi Varnashram. This is what Krishna created. That there is no difference between any of the Varnas. A Shudra doing Shudra duties properly goes back home, back to Godhead. Vaishya doing Vaishya duties properly goes back home to back Godhead. Kshatriya goes back to Godhead. Brahmana goes back to Godhead. This is Daivi Varnashram. This is what Krishna created when we discussed this in 4.13, as well as what we are discussing here in 18.41 to 45 verses. The Vedic Varnashram, I'll repeat, is linear. That Shudra does his Shudra duties properly, then further he qualifies to become a Vaishya, then in the subsequent life he does the Vaishya duties properly, then in subsequent life becomes a Kshatriya. Kshatriya duties properly, then he becomes Brahmana, and in the Brahmana life he can get liberated. So this is Vedic, it's a linear, but we are not talking about linear. We are talking about Daivi Varnashram, where the progression is vertical. Now, if a devotee in Daivi Varnashram devotes himself to Krishna, practices devotional services seriously, then from any of the Varnas, whether it be Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, or Brahmana, one can get liberated. So in 18.45, Krishna is talking about Daivi Varnashram. Krishna is saying, by doing one's activities, one becomes liberated. We'll soon read the verse 18.45 translation again to solidify our understanding as to what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying that by doing one's activities, one can become liberated. So Krishna is not talking about Vedic Varnashram, and definitely Krishna is not talking about Asuric Varnashram. In 18.45, Krishna is clearly saying about Daivi Varnashram. Priya, was it you? You want to read 18.45 translation again?
Yes, Prabhuji. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now, please hear from me how this can be done. Hare Krishna.
Right, so this is the first part of our discussion where Krishna has described all these qualities of Varnashram, and Krishna says by each Varna doing their work properly, they can attain perfection. And the subsequent 3 verses are also very heavy, are the practice of how to do it. But I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. Monarch.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu, what is the difference between activities performed?
Monarch
Hare-
Prabhu, there's background noise.
Sorry, Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhu, what is the difference between activity performed by a person in Vedic Varnashram and activities performed by a person in Daivi Varnashram?
Yeah, so activities for the Brahmanical activities, if you take as an example, the activities will be similar. But the challenge is that those who are not in Daivi Varnashram, they may not have the good qualities. So devotees in batch 3, 4, and 5, some of them are here. We discussed the difference between religiosity and spirituality. So religiosity is that you follow certain rules and regulations, and irrespective of you developing the good qualities, you are considered religious. So if you look at Brahmanas in India, specifically in India, those who come to perform some rituals at your homes or anybody's homes, just see what they are doing after the fact. I mean, even when they come, some of them, you can, from their face, you can realize, well, looks like he's either smoking or eating tobacco from his teeth, you can tell. So he does not have the good qualities, but because he's following certain rituals, therefore he's considered religious. Spirituality, on the other hand, is dependent on the process that you follow, whether or not you have developed the qualities. So we are discussing that discussion, and those of you who want to get the recording for that discussion, more than 30-minute discussion on the difference between religiosity and spirituality, can please get it from me or Sumnima. That spirituality is judged based on the qualities you are developing. The process, in that discussion you will hear, the process is overlapping, whether somebody is religious or spiritual. So for example, I discussed that somebody is following a ritual. In spirituality, we have both philosophy and religion. So that religion component are the processes which are there in religiosity. But somebody only following religiosity, he may not develop the required qualities for elevation on the path of spirituality. But he is still considered religious. So I do recommend that all of you can please get the recording from the Bhagavatam class, where the last 30 minutes or so for that particular class, I have discussed the difference between religiosity and spirituality, which will essentially answer Monarch's question. I have only briefly answered right now. Monarch?
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you. Prabhu, can I ask a further question?
Yeah.
Then, Prabhu, how Vedic Varnashram is different from demoniac Varnashram?
There is overlapping. So if you go to, say, a demigod temple in India or even here, so they may not be doing the negative parts. They are just religious. Versus if you look at Asuric Varnashram, is similar to Vedic, but then they are also involved in doing nonsense, like you hear in the news, or even you can see for yourself that looks like he's smoking or eating tobacco or what. Alright.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
Pratish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is regarding uh, like the exact duties performed by each Varnas. If I had to give an example, like Parashuram was a Brahmin by birth, but however he was more of a warrior kind, so he might be considered Kshatriya as well. So in the Vedic in the Devya Varnashram system, can there be any overlap between the qualities of one caste or the other, or one has to strictly adhere to the exact qualities of the particular caste that he belongs to?
So we have discussed this in chapter 16 qualities, as well as in chapter 13 verses 8 to 12 qualities, that we try to develop all the qualities as much as possible. Simultaneously, there are certain specific qualities which are very relevant for a particular varna. So we discussed that, for example, grahastha. Charity is one of the quality very much relevant for a grahastha, because grahasthas generally work and earn money. So they are supposed to take care of the other varnas. So charity is a quality specifically for grahasthas. Now that does not mean that other varnas will not donate, right? So this is not a watertight division. There will be a dominant quality that determines whether you are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. But still there will be overlapping. Pratish?
Yes, Prabhuji. And also one more question is, so of course, since we follow the Gita, there's been a lot of political debate about caste and everything, and people bring up the Manusmriti. But in terms of following authority, we will follow the authority of the Gita, and we will accordingly judge caste based on work instead of birth. Is that right?
Correct. So Krishna has clearly said in 4.13, as well as what he is describing here in 18.45. Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. That the division is by guna and karma, not by birth. Pratish?
Yes, Prabhuji. And one more question by my father.
Yep.
Prabhuji, suppose a person in this life take birth as a Brahmin, and he doesn't follow the devotional service to the Lord. So what will be his varna in the next life?
So we have discussed in the karma lecture that the next life only Krishna knows. What you do in this life plays a role to determine your next life, but there are many dimensions through which a soul goes through to determine what is your next life. We don't even know all the dimensions. So we have clearly discussed, we don't know. Krishna has clearly said, even the intelligent are bewildered. So if you read 4.16 and 17, Krishna has clearly said, even the intelligent are bewildered how karma works. So we do not know. Now, if the scenario that you described, if that person born in a Brahmana family is not living a life of a Brahmana, he's not a Brahmana, he's a Shudra. And we have discussed the example multiple times that tomorrow you go to a doctor's office and the certificate in the doctor's office says, I am a doctor because my mother and father are doctors. Will you take medication from such a person?
Obviously not.
And
then my another
then
follow-up question.
then
Sorry.
the same applies for a Brahmana. that just because somebody is born in a Brahmana family on itself does not make that person a Brahmana. It is the guna and karma. Yeah, you can be born in a Brahmana and be a Brahmana, but birth is not the criteria. In ISKCON, there are so many devotees who are now Vaishnava, not just Brahmana. Vaishnava is even higher than a Brahmana. So they went through all the purification process that they gave up their lower activities. They were literally Shudras. They gave up all those. They purified themselves by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by taking initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, following the instructions of Guru and Krishna. They go on to become Brahmana, and then now they are even higher. They go on to become Vaishnava now. Prabhu.
Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, then my next doubt is that according to Vedic Varnashram, we are learning about the progression by doing spiritual service. If some Sudras do something, then he will be elevated to the next stage. So how this is, does it work?
Why do you want to bother about it? We have to focus on what Krishna is wanting us to focus. Daivi Varnashram. Focus on what is required. So I don't have the answer for you right now, but I'm pretty sure in the scriptures it will be given. But even if I go and dig some scriptures and give you that answer, what will you do with that?
Okay, not just general queries.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you understand what I'm trying to say is that just because I have a query and I want an answer, that's not the criteria. You judge for yourself that even if I give you an answer, what will you do with that answer? If you will say that, okay, I will put a tick mark, well, that means it's a Jnani level question. I don't need to worry about that question. Your question is valid. You can still ask, but then understand my answer.
All right, Prabhuji.
Shivanji?
Yes, Prabhuji, I wanted to ask, um, so for Brahmanas also, I feel like there is, I have seen both the situations. Uh, I myself being a Brahmana, we have been exploited by our own people. Like they come to house, they do it, they take a lot of money and it's not satisfactory. Um, so I agree that there are a lot of type of Brahmanas, people who are actively practicing, people who are um not using their varna because I'm a Kshatriya because my father is a Kshatriya, he had to switch because we don't have money and so we had to switch to Kshatriya as an occupation. And also I wanted to mention that in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned that like at the time of Yudhishthir and Maharaj Parikshit, who are the best kings of all times, they 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 protected Brahmanas by giving money, land, and everything. So these days Brahmanas are not protected. Like they are not given any gifts or those kind of alimony, or they are not protected by the government. So I feel uh, like people don't have money, and when people don't have money, then they find ways to ex- get money some or the other way. So I feel that more than 80% of the Brahmanas are not even Brahmanas because everybody is doing whatever they want for money.
So
And
it's not 80%. I would say specifically if you look at India, the Brahmanas are running a business in the name of being a Brahmana. They are not doing the rituals for elevating anybody. So I will tell you one incident that in a known family, a Brahmana came for certain rituals, and then the Brahmana demanded a lot of money for doing the ritual. Are, how are you Brahmana? And the person said, what you are asking, the amount of money you are asking, I don't even have that much wealth. How am I going to give it to you? And it's not like he was asking like $100 or something. He was asking like millions and millions of dollars. How is he Brahmana? And Shreyanshi, you are saying you are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, but not by birth. Again, understand. Unless you know otherwise, everyone is a Shudra. Unless Krishna reveals to you from within, only then your Varna is relevant. Otherwise, everyone is a Shudra.
Yes, Prabhuji, I totally agree, and I feel like being Shudra is better. I mean, right now, I think what everybody in Kali Yuga is doing is just doing whatever they can for money, and I don't think that Varnashram even is relevant right now. Like I think
You are
everybody
correct.
just
Yeah, you are correct. Right now, Varnashram does not exist the way Krishna created it. And in Bhagavatam, Krishna describes that because Varnashram is created by Krishna, it will continue to exist like the sun, uh, whether or not somebody follows. And it will continue to exist as a principle. Follow me?
Prabhuji, one query is that when any such Brahmana, many cases situations are so difficult. What if they say that, the Lord will be happy if you donate so much? So how to firmly but not rudely say a no with some verse, because at times it's very difficult. A person is also very vulnerable at that moment, or anything by which we can say a no, by which they can stop. Is it possible?
You can quote 18.42, and 18.42 clearly says the qualities of a Brahmana. And simultaneously, you can also quote 18.44, which says business. So if a Brahmana is asking money, and you can say 18.44 says business is Vaishya Varna. Are you Brahmana or are you Vaishya?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? Shreyanshi.
but I think what I would like to ask Prabhuji is that like in Srimad Bhagavatam, like it is said like how in olden times like the king was supposed to protect like all the sections like Brahmana, woman, all the all these sections, and there's one more animals. But in Kali Yuga, nobody's getting protected right now.
Yeah, you are
Uh,
correct. We already said Varna does not exist. What's your question?
yes, Prabhuji, even as a woman also, I feel like there is no protection. Like
You are correct.
um,
And therefore,
yes.
woman should always be under protection of a male. So first under the protection of father, then husband, and then son.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is a very difficult time to be born, and I, I, I don't know why there's this feminism, but I do not agree with whatever values they have kept right now because there is no protection. So
It's Kali Yuga.
people are doing whatever they want just to survive in the society, and that is very
Correct.
sad.
Yeah, correct. It's Kali Yuga. Pratyush.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is, since you just said that we are all technically Shudras because only Krishna knows what exactly our caste is, or only we can decide if we have an internal awakening. So my question is a bit of a hypothetical. For example, if ISKCON does confer the Brahman title to one particular individual who has gone through the entire purification process, so he can be technically a Brahman, but in his mind, he can also have some kind of like personal financial benefit, like needs or some kind of greed or whatever, which cannot be ascertained tangibly. So in that scenario, does Brahmans really exist? Because do we really know what Krishna wants or what Krishna sees?
So we have discussed this in chapter 17 when we said austerity performed in the mode of goodness. If you compare with the austerity performed in the mode of ignorance. In ignorance, I think it says that no dakshina. So it's dakshina, like it is voluntary of what one gives to a brahmana, not what the brahmana demands. There's a difference, right? So in ISKCON, there are brahmanas, and those of you who come for services here in Toronto area, you have met brahmanas while doing services. They work in the material world, but for their brahmanical duties, they don't ask. Whatever somebody gives as dakshina, they of course give it to Krishna, but they don't demand. That's the difference about demanding what's going on in India. Exactly what Ria is saying in the chat as well. That Brahmana demanding money, that is inappropriate. That's not a Brahmana. Pratyush, Ria?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. And just a small follow-up question. Can you please reiterate or explain why exactly is Brahmanas considered to be higher caste, or what is the significance of Brahmanas in our society,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. If you tell a Shudra to live a life like a Brahmana, to wake up before 4 a.m. and chant 16 rounds of japa, do devotional service in the morning, and he will go crazy. He will go, what? This is not possible for me. But Brahmana, on the other hand, nobody has to tell him. He is voluntarily waking up early, doing austerity. So this voluntarily accepting the austere life is the criteria for somebody to be a Brahmana in that Brahmanical Varna. And Shudra, it is very difficult to live, therefore he is in a Shudra body. Pratyush.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. If you thought the discussion so far was heavy, just hold your thought. The real heavy discussion is coming up right now. It's possible we may not be able to revise both chapters 9 and 10, or at least may be able to revise only one of them. Let's discuss the next set of verses. So we discussed the theory part. If you read verse 45, Krishna says that by following the work, everyone can become perfect. So this discussion up to so far was this point, and 18.45 then says, now please hear from me how this can be done. So the practice part is verses 46, 47, 48. And this is where our heavy discussion is today. So let's see. Monarch, you read 46, 47, and 48 translations, and we'll discuss them together.
Hare Krishna. Text 46. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Text 47. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Text 48. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Hare Krishna.
So verse number 46, Krishna says, a human being can attain perfection by doing his own duties. The third line says, Swakarmana tap abhyarcha. Verse number 47 says that some may think my prescribed duty is too troublesome. Therefore, I do not want to do my prescribed duty. I will do somebody else's duty. But Krishna is saying it is better to do one's own prescribed duty, even if it appears faulty. You will become purified by doing your prescribed duty. We will soon have a discussion on prescribed duty also. And then verse number 48, Krishna gives an example that even if there are faults, one should not give up duties. Born with karma is some fault. And even if there is some fault, one should not give it up. All activities have some faults. Just as smoke covers fire, therefore, you should learn to tolerate. So, here's a question for all of you. Every single one of you, please answer. Is work worship? Everybody, please answer. Is work worship? Naresh?
Yes.
Okay. Mona? Mansi?
No.
Okay. Mansi?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Shreyanshi?
Work is worship.
Okay. Padma Kumar also says yes. Rest of you have not answered. We're going to have some fun.
No,
very soon.
Prabhuji, I don't think so. It depends upon the nature of work also.
All right.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the kind of work and why we are doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I also agree that it depends on the nature of work.
okay, we already have various answers. Shruti also says don't know. Okay, Praksha also says don't
Prabhuji,
know.
I don't know either.
All right. So rest of you have not answered. Is work worship?
Prabhuji, if you offer the results to Krishna and then do it, maybe that's the only way.
Okay, so you go to work 9 to 5. Is that worship?
If one is using the results, the money that you get to, that's what you have taught, according to the scriptures, that
All right.
to build a temple and then do
Okay.
it, then maybe it's
Okay. Ria?
Yeah, Prabhuji, normal work that we do, it's not worship.
All right. So if you go back to 46, let's see. Let's see who has not read. Malti, you want to read 46 translation again? You have the ability?
Yes, Prabhuji. 46 translation. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
Right, so it says by worship of the Lord, and then he says can attain perfection through performing his own work. And therefore, my question came, is work worship? So have undivided attention. If work is worship, then animals like donkey or some animals like them who work the hardest, they will be the greatest worshippers. Isn't it? So how do we define work? There can be good work or there can be bad work. If a thief says, my work is worship, and he will say, I am doing worship, therefore work is worship. So this work is worship is not a philosophical principle. I will repeat. Some of you answered yes, work is worship. Understand, work is worship is not a philosophical principle. But simultaneously also understand what Krishna is saying. He has used the word worship, attain perfection by doing your work. So how do you attain perfection? By doing your 9 to 5 day-to-day job. That's what our discussion is. That's what Krishna is explaining. So the common idea among many people is that to pursue God, to pursue spirituality, you have to give up this world. But Bhagavad Gita says you do not have to do this. So work generally means earning money, satisfying bodily demands. Worship is usually focused on the divine, like prayer, chanting, meditation. So can work and worship be combined together? People think that if I have to worship, if I have to pursue God, pursue spirituality, then I have to give up work. I have to give up the world. Bhagavad Gita says no. You don't have to give up work to attain spirituality. Rather, Bhagavad Gita says both material duties and spiritual duties can be harmonized. I'm going to show you a visual very, very soon for this. So instead of renunciation of work, Bhagavad Gita says renunciation in work, meanings akarma. So renunciation of work means giving up work. And renunciation in work means you are doing the work, but you are giving up the attachment to the results. Bhagavad Gita does not say work is worship. Rather, Krishna is saying, by your work, worship the Lord. I will repeat this very important statement. Bhagavad Gita does not say work is worship. Rather, Krishna is saying, by your work, worship the Lord. So parent is the source of a children, and parent also provides for the children. Therefore, the child's duty is to cooperate with the parent. Similarly, Krishna is the source and Krishna is the sustainer. Therefore, we all souls, we should worship the Lord with our karma. Rather than work is worship, Bhagavad Gita is saying work as worship. Meaning, do your work in the mood of worship. So automatically, work is not worship. Work has to be made into worship by bringing a devotional consciousness into that work. That devotional consciousness has to be cultivated by practicing devotional service in a focused way. Otherwise, we may be doing our day-to-day work very beautifully, but that does not make us spiritual. By your work, worship the Lord does not mean you take your laptop and you start doing Aarti to Krishna on the laptop. That's not what it means. Worship the Lord through work means we do our work in the mood of worship. And this mood of worship cannot be cultivated unless we spend every morning quality time connecting with Krishna before we start doing our regular day-to-day work. Bhagavad Gita's ultimate message is to fix oneself in devotional service to Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita's message is not to do one's worldly duty just for the sake of doing or to renounce worldly duties. Our worldly duties are not spiritual, but you can dovetail your worldly duties to make it spiritual. For Arjuna, Arjuna's material duties of being a Kshatriya and his material duty to fight a war coincided with his spiritual duty as devotee of Krishna to fulfill the will of Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita's message is to do our duty, yes, but which duty? Our worldly duties are not the same as the duty that Krishna is talking about. Krishna is talking about our duty to Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, and our material duties can be integrated with spiritual duties. So, obvious question will become how to make our work into worship. Bhagavad Gita 18.46 is saying, worship first to make your work as worship. So many think that to attain God, we have to renounce the world. But Bhagavad Gita is saying, we have to renounce the attachment to the world. We don't have to renounce the connection with the world. Bhagavad Gita 18.46 is saying, we can connect with Krishna without disconnecting with the world. By practicing bhakti, we learn to see the world not for our enjoyment, rather we see the world as service for Krishna, as everything is meant for Krishna. Rather than trying to see this world as meant for my enjoyment or disconnect from the world so that we are not entangled in the world, both ways, you don't have to think that way. We focus on seeing the connection of the world with Krishna. So 18.46, the first half, Krishna is talking about connectedness of the world with God. And that the whole world has come from God. And the whole world is pervaded by God. The stress of 18.46 is on the connectedness of God with this material world and the connectedness of our work with God. Our individual abilities are actually not our abilities. Our abilities are gifts given to us by Krishna. And using these abilities in Krishna's service enables us to go closer to Krishna. Using our abilities in Krishna's service is the essence of Varnashram. Thus we advance in our devotion. So before we can make work as worship, first step is that we need to connect ourselves with Krishna. First thing every morning. Through our sincere devotion, by our mantra meditation, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So chanting is not just a ritual. From this point on, at this point in your chanting that you are trying to connect with Krishna, not just saying, you're not just putting a tick mark. So our direct devotional activities, such as chanting, hearing, studying scriptures, worshipping Gopinath, are all foundations by which rest of our lives becomes spiritualized. Therefore, to make our work as worship, we need to have a daily regulated sadhana, ideally at the start of the day in the morning, where your chanting should be so concentrated that you are trying to connect with the Lord. Through such diligent sadhana, when a devotee gives exclusive time for worship through his chanting, through the scriptural study, through the bhoga offering in the morning, through the worship in the morning, we connect with Krishna, God, in our heart, by which we can spiritualize the work we do for rest of the day. So once you have a solid connection with the Lord, means you have a fence around your heart, then you go to your day-to-day work and some colleague misbehaves with you, you will learn to tolerate because you will see that colleague as part and parcel of Krishna, as under the modes. You will see through the modes that, okay, I don't have to also be under the modes. Then your work will become worship. Because you already have an early morning connection with the Lord. So the divine consciousness enables us to see all living beings as parts of God and makes all our activities as offerings of love to Him and to all His children. Then and then only does our work become worship. Some may think the process of devotion as a ritual. That's say going to the temple, say chanting, say bowing down before Gopinath. Yes, all these are important, but don't just do it as a ritual. Rather, from tomorrow onwards, chant with that feelings. Krishna, I am connecting with you. Come and sit in my heart. But the essence of devotion is that everything comes from God and everything should be returned to God by using everything in the world in service of the Lord. And our abilities are also coming from God. And our abilities should be returned to God, meaning our abilities must be used in service of Lord. So whatever be our profession, as long as it is honorable profession, we do our day-to-day work in the mood of service to the Lord. Once we have already established a connection in the morning, then we will have that humble attitude, that prayerful attitude, that service attitude, with the intention that I am not doing the work for my sense gratification, but I am doing this in the mood of service. This mood of service is not just a matter of conception. Rather, it requires purification. To make our work as worship, we need to devote exclusive time every morning for our diligent sadhana to connect with the God. A regular sadhana of chanting, scriptural study, bhoga offering, worship every morning. Then you have that connection with the Lord. You have this fence around you. Then whatever you do on a day-to-day basis will also start becoming worship. Then your work becomes worship. Once our heart is connected with God in devotion, then whatever we do throughout the day, we will connect that also with God. That focused devotion provides a foundation by which we can spiritualize our work. We see our family members not just as our family members, rather we see them as devotees. We serve our family members as devotees, and together with devotee family members, we also serve Krishna. It is not just by saying that whatever I am doing as worship. No. We need to first consciously spend quality time first thing in the morning, connecting our consciousness with God through our diligent sadhana. Now, charity is also one way by which we can make our work into worship also. Now, God is interested in our heart, but presently my heart is caught in money. So if I cannot give my heart to God, we can give what is in our heart to God. Meaning we can give the money to God, and this way we give Krishna a place in our heart. By the process of bhakti yoga, gradually our occupational service will become devotional service to Krishna. Of course, this is a gradual process, meaning gradually this will become more and more and more as an offering to Krishna. So we have discussed this in 3.30 and 8.7. 3.30 is offering after the fact, post-offering, that you first do the karma and then you are offering the results to Krishna. It's a good starting point. Then you progress to 8.7, which is premeditation. That before doing any activity, while doing any activity in the material world, and even after doing the activity in the material world, we try to remember Krishna. And this way our mind, intelligence, and everything that we do gets offered to Krishna. I still have a lot of talking to do, and I still have a visual to show you. I have done a lot of talking and a heavy discussion. I will pause here for questions, comments, realizations. All glories are olives of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Everybody crystal clear? Work is worship or not? Or how to make your work as worship? Yes, no, Shreyanshi?
Prabhuji, like you mentioned, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that to give 25% or 50% of our earnings in some or the other way for the Krishna consciousness activities. So, um, even if we are doing, I just wanted to ask, like you said, like not to like leave the work, but to give the results, like
Correct.
devote the results to work. Also, if we even if we're devoting the results, also if we devote the money in some or the other way, or
Yeah, and that's okay. I did discuss that part, that charity is also valid way to make your work as worship. It's a starting point, right? It's not elevated. Then keep progressing. That early morning, set up your sadhana, connect with the Lord, then your work will become worship. Work on itself is not worship. You have to work in a way, first connect with the Lord, then work, and then you dovetail your work, then it becomes worship. Rest of you, questions, comments, realizations? Follow me.
Prabhuji, I remembered one incident and that's why I want to ask this question. Someone had told me, काम जो करता है गलती सिर्फ उसी की होती है in the material world. Does that bring us to that line? Like every endeavor is covered by some fault, so it's okay. That means the person has done the work.
Yeah, so you are correct that every work has fault. Now understand what is Krishna talking about fault here. That's very
Okay.
important to understand.
Yes.
Fault means, say you have some difficult task to do, just as Arjuna has a very difficult task of killing his loving relatives. That difficult task is what Krishna is referring to as faulty. That even if there is fault, still do not give up your prescribed duty.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, does this also link to the mistakes? Like I'm trying to understand that whenever somebody will do the work, they will make some mistakes. Is that normal? Because
Yeah, that's okay. So we already have this defect built in us. We are bound to make mistakes.
Okay. Thank you.
Rest of you, Akshay.
Yes, Prabhuji. After this discussion, I just realized that if I complete my spiritual endeavor in the morning itself, even though there are problems or like someone says something at the workplace, it doesn't really affect me. But like if I miss my endeavors in the morning, yeah, then I'm affected throughout the day. So
Okay,
this
very
really
good.
helps.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Very good for doing your sadhana in the morning. Path, Pratyush.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just as you mentioned right now, that sometimes even while doing work, some mistakes do happen in that, or like some faults might happen. So in that same vein, if we are working in our material world, in a corporate or somewhere, and then there are some calculated opposition, if there's some people who genuinely want to sabotage you or destroy you, we can't extend and like we can't be humble all the time. Like we also need to stand our ground or just become a
Correct.
doormat in terms of corporate power. So can that also be a fault, a necessary fault in work, or should we be completely humble and just like not do anything?
So we have discussed that in the name of spirituality, we don't need to let anybody and everybody trample us. So you can take a firm stand. What you have to recognize is from spiritual study is that you don't have to become angry. So today I'll give you my personal example that I had a challenging discussion on a phone call today for an issue that needs to be corrected. So in the discussion, I was not getting angry. I was saying, this is an issue. Yeah, I was having form. No, this is an issue you need to address. And the discussion between the customer service representative on the other side of the call also acknowledged that yes, you are not angry, you are just being very firm on your point. So that's how we have to be firm. We don't have to let anybody and everybody trample us. We just don't have to become angry. We have to still follow and develop the qualities that Krishna is asking us to develop. Pratyush?
Yes, Prabhuji, makes sense.
So we discussed so much about prescribed duty that Krishna is saying, do your prescribed duty. So question for all of you, do you know your prescribed duty? So our whole discussion to make work as worship, Krishna is saying, do your prescribed duty. We read in one of the verses. So do you all know your prescribed duty?
No, Prabhuji, I don't know.
All right. Rest of you?
Prabhuji, probably partially, I would say. I know,
What is
but
what
not
is your
fully.
what is your prescribed duty, Ria?
To do my work in the material world, honestly and honestly and
Okay.
to the best of my ability.
Okay, very good. Naresh?
Yeah, whatever I do, keep Krishna at the center.
Okay. So okay, whatever you do, meaning can you steal and still keep Krishna in the center?
Yeah. Yes.
And that becomes your prescribed duty?
Yes.
So a thief can be Krishna conscious, you say?
Yeah, but ideally it is not. But if I initiate this process, one day it might be like I might be realize.
Yeah, so you're saying a thief as a profession is okay? Is that what you're saying?
Initial stage is it not, Prabhu, but ideally one day it will be realized.
No, right now.
Right now, no.
Okay. So all of you, please answer. Krishna says, do your prescribed duty. But what is my prescribed duty? Somebody knows, wants to know? Shreyanshi?
I actually want to genuinely ask, like, what if, like, some people are really lucky. I've seen, like, they become full-time devotees and they don't have to work. Like, suddenly, like, Krishna tells them, like, come to me for 100%, and they have the money saved up. So I genuinely want to ask you, Prabhuji, that what should be done in that case? Like one day, if like somebody gets an opportunity to not work and just save up whatever it is there and just be happy with whatever it is.
Yeah, so just do service. If you have enough money, just do service. But what's your prescribed duty? My question still stands. What's your prescribed duty?
Prescribed duty to use the skill and give all the results to Krishna.
Are you doing that?
No, Prabhuji, I'm waiting for the opportunity, but one day.
Shruti is saying she's trying to find my prescribed duty for the past 5 years. Very good. Thank you. So there are still few who did not answer. What's my prescribed duty?
Prabhuji, my question can be a bit off tangent, but who is prescribing? Like, who is authority that is prescribing your duty?
That's also valid. Who's prescribing? You are valid. So how do you know your prescribed duty? Where do you find your prescribed duty?
My prescribed duty is serve my family and also Krishna. Depends on the asana.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. If we look at if we look at beyond quarterly concept, my prescribed duty is to serve Krishna 24/7.
Are you doing your prescribed duty?
No, Prabhu. No.
So why are you telling me?
So no, like I want to do that, but it's not. I'm trying, but it's not possible right now.
Yeah, so Krishna, so how will you become perfect? Krishna says, worship the Lord through your prescribed duty, but you don't know your prescribed duty, so how will you worship the Lord? What Mansi is saying is the ideal scenario. I am not there yet. I am working 9 to 5. How can I worship the Lord? All right. I'm pretty sure I created enough suspense. Everybody wants to know the answer. So prescribed duty does not necessarily mean some duty given in scripture. Prescribed duty means that honorable duty in the material world which enables us to maintain our material life, maintain our body and maintain our family, and simultaneously also allows us enough time for spiritual duties. That is my prescribed duty. So what Naresh Prabhu was saying is absolutely incorrect. That a thief cannot say stealing is my prescribed duty under the assumption that at some point of time he will become Krishna conscious. No, it doesn't work that way. So I said prescribed duty means that honorable duty in the material world that enables you to maintain your body and family and simultaneously gives you enough time for spiritual duties as well. That is your prescribed duty. So if somebody is working 12, 14, 16, 20 hours every day with no time for spirituality, that is not your prescribed duty. Change your job. Or if somebody is not working under the pretext that I want to be spiritual, that is not your prescribed duty. You need to have a balance between both. I have described that Sri Ishopanishad describes that somebody who does only material duties will go to hell, and somebody who does only spiritual duties will go to bigger hell. Yeah, bigger hell. Therefore, you need to find a balance. So Sri Ishopanishad discussion is coming up very, very soon. And we'll understand that part. So I still have a lot of discussion to do about prescribed duty. Everybody clear on what is your prescribed duty? I still have a lot of talking to do, but I'm just pausing because I asked this question.
Prabhuji, then the Brahmins who are always engaged in spiritual service, doing pujas, they don't have any other material duty. Then how their duty will be categorized?
So we have discussed this in Srimad Bhagavatam that a Brahmana working only for the rituals, etc., and somebody working in a factory, labor job as a devotee who is devoted to Krishna, who has morning sadhana, that laborer working in a factory in a heavy machinery is higher than a Brahmana who is just doing a ritual without any devotion. We have discussed at great length in Bhagavatam. Prabhu?
Okay, okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Shreyanshi?
Prabhuji, when to stop? Like, what do you recommend? Like,
So we have so it's coming up discussion in Nectar of Instruction that somebody may say, I want to become CEO. Yeah, go and become CEO as long as you have balance between material and spiritual duties. 3.14 clearly says Yajna Karma Samudbhava, that material and spiritual duties are bound together. So if you want to become a CEO and there is no time left for you for spiritual duties, that is not your prescribed duty. That's your clue that what you are endeavoring is not your prescribed duty. Shivanji?
okay, and also, Prabhuji, it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam to not to over endeavor.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I mentioned about over endeavor. So it's in Nectar of Instruction coming up very, very soon, in a month, less than a month's time, that you have to endeavor, but you don't have to over endeavor. Endeavor means you have to find a balance between material and spiritual duties.
Okay, and last question, Prabhuji. Um, like some people, like some Guruji,
Shreyanshi, without setting a base, ask your question. You should listen to Bhagavad Gita initial class recording where we have discussed do not set a base. Ask your question in 4 lines or less.
Okay, Prabhuji. If we had to travel, is it okay? How to make it spiritual, Prabhuji?
Yeah,
So because
many devotees, some present among us also, that when they have traveled, I've explained to them what you have to do and what you don't have to do. So last time Shruti was a live example that she was sitting in an airplane, but she was attending our classes from the airplane Wi-Fi. So that was her travel was bhakti yoga. So while you are traveling, when you are in an airplane or whatever travel mode, instead of wasting your time in sleeping or watching television or browsing anything and everything, read Bhagavad Gita, listen to Prabhupada lecture, get caught up on our class recordings, and wherever you are traveling, introduce Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That way your travel becomes Bhakti Yoga. Shivanshi?
Okay, Prabhuji, I have one more question. A lot of times I ask devotees and they say that they're not able to do the prasadam and prasad and also. What would you say?
So you have to learn to tolerate. You can carry some of the prasad. You can eat before boarding the airplane, and at the destination, you can ask your friends to say bring the prasad for you. In between, you can carry some fruit like apple or something. Or at the airplane, you can get like fruit or salad. You can offer to Krishna. You can say, Krishna, this is not perfect. We can offer. So you can avoid all those dressings that they give. You can just eat raw fruit and raw salad. It's not a perfect, but you can try something. It's a 1 day travel. You're not traveling every day. You're not like a sannyasi traveling every day. If you look at the sannyasis, they are traveling every week. You are not traveling like that. 1 day you can tolerate. Shreyanshi?
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, thank you
Priya?
so much.
Priya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one question about this balance between material duties and spiritual duties. So, how do we understand that we're doing enough in terms of spiritual duties? So, in terms of material duties, there are some milestones, and then we can kind of compare that and understand, okay, we're doing what we have to do. But in terms of spiritual duty, how do we understand that whether we're doing enough or not?
So in spirituality, there is no such thing as enough. In Krishna consciousness, there is no such thing as fully perfect. You will keep perfecting and perfecting and perfecting and perfecting. The dividing line is that for your material duties, you do bare minimum just to keep the body and soul together. Rest of the time you spend on spirituality.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So let me finish discussing the prescribed duty. I have a lot of discussion and a visual to show you. The visual is going to be an eye opener as well. So for the prescribed duty, as I described, that prescribed duty means that material duty, that honorable material duty, which enables us to maintain my body, my family, as well as leaves me enough time for spirituality. That is my prescribed duty. So we don't have to radically shift from our current family, from our current job. Rather, whatever situation we are in, we try to harmonize as much as is possible for our spiritual growth. So the specifics of what and how of our prescribed duty will vary according to time, place, and circumstance, because each one of us are individuals. The form is that divide the society into 4 varnas. So Varnashram, there is a specific form, here Varna, and there is a principle. So divide the 4 Varnas in the society. But the principle is to give people engagement according to their nature, according to their strengths, whatever be their Varna. The purpose of Varnashram is not just to divide the society into classes. Rather, the purpose of Varnashram is to engage people according to their strengths for their spiritual growth. Then it will become Daivi Varnashram. This principle of engaging people according to their strengths can be applied even today, even when Varnashram is not so very crystal clear. You can still engage people according to their strengths. So Varnashram itself is not spiritual. Varnashram is a material division in the society. We can use Varnashram to come to spiritual. If we are in a very demanding job, which does not leave time for spiritual life, then we may consider shifting to some other job, which will give us time for spiritual life and have an overall balance in our life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, wherever you are, be situated there and just start hearing and chanting about Krishna. This way, whatever duties we need to do so that we can make our material life harmonious with our spiritual growth, that we can consider as our prescribed duty in our today's situation. Also, we should not assume that the current work that I am doing is not according to my psychophysical nature, because often our nature may not always be clearly defined. So our work does not have to have a connection with Krishna. Rather, we need to have a connection with Krishna. So let's summarize. We have had a heavy conversation today. As I already said, that it's the last conversation on Karma Yoga in Bhakti in Bhagavad Gita. So let me summarize what we have discussed so far. Bhagavad Gita does not say work is worship. Rather, 18.46 says, by your work, worship the Lord. And then we discuss the question, how to make our work into worship? The answer is, worship first, early in the morning, through your diligent sadhana, then work, then it will make your work as worship. Every morning, have exclusive time for sadhana of chanting, scriptural study, doing bhoga offering, doing worship, and chant with feelings. Prepare bhoga offering with feelings so as to establish a connection with Krishna. Then we can spiritualize the work of rest of the day. And then we discuss, Krishna says to do your prescribed duty. But how do we know our prescribed duty? Answer is, prescribed duty means that honorable duty in the material world which enables us to maintain our body and family and simultaneously gives us enough time for spirituality, harmonious spiritual material balance life. That is my prescribed duty. Shruti, did you get your answer about your prescribed duty? You had the quest.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, what we discussed today, many of you know Mother Jija from the Japa group. So, when I had described this for the very first time in batch 1 and 2, Mother Jija has an ability to draw what she is hearing. She has made many drawings from Prabhupada lecture. The entire lecture of Prabhupada is summarized in essence in one drawing. So our today's discussion, Mother Jija has summarized in one amazing visual, which I have on the screen right now. So what Mother Jija is showing, so this is Mother Jija in the middle, and she's saying that she's tied with a chain to two wheels. One wheel is the material world wheel, where she has the relationship with mother, wife, citizens, daughter, as an employee, daughter-in-law, neighbor, sister, whatever. This is my material world. I am tied to it. And I am also tied to another wheel, which is spiritual world, which is chanting scriptures, memorizing sloka, kirtan, good deeds, charity, devotee association, all these spiritual duties. But they are far apart right now. Simultaneously, she is showing that my goal is Krishna, the permanent hem, Goloko Vrindavan. And the path to reach to Goloko Vrindavan is very narrow. And she's saying, oh, I should not fall in the river. I should be steady in my devotion to Krishna. So on both sides of the path, she has shown a river or ocean. And she's saying, oh, my endeavor is to reach Krishna. But she's saying, this is my challenge. She's saying, do not fall into the river of material world of bad karma. Avoid this sea of cycle of birth and death. And on the right side, she's saying, my challenge is to complete my duty, cross all the barriers to reach Godhead. And see what she's saying. Oh, life is not at all easy. So, for Arjuna, these two wheels overlapped, means the material world duties of Arjuna and the spiritual duties of Arjuna overlap, meaning Arjuna's duty to fight as a Kshatriya and Arjuna's duty to fight in the Kurukshetra war to serve Krishna, they overlapped each other. For me, these two wheels are far apart. So what I have to learn to do by dovetailing my material world duties as spiritual duties, I have to first bring these two wheels closer and closer and closer and closer. And best is so that they overlap, so that I can walk on this narrow path to reach Goloko Vrindavan, avoiding the material world ocean. Is that an amazing visual for what we discussed today?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is really good, like the visuals and the way she organized everything.
Yeah, so many of you know Mother Jija from the Japa group. You can thank Mother Jija herself. So I did not explain. This is her ability. That whatever I explained to you all, I had explained this same thing in batch number 1, where Mother Jija was there attending the Bhagavad Gita class, and she came up with this visual. This is her ability. So those of you who are in the Japa group, you should thank Mother Jija for guiding you and helping you clarify what all we discussed today. And those who are not in the Japa group can get the phone number of Mother Jija from me, and you can thank Mother Jija. Take a snapshot of what you have on the screen. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. So we will not have time to revise chapter 9 or chapter 10 because it's only just about 15 minutes left. Chapter 9 itself will take more than 20 some minutes. So I do not recommend revising, although the recordings are already there. I can do, if you are all okay, I can do the chapter 9, play the recordings of the devotees, and I can do the summary. Whatever you prefer, you tell me. All of you had a heavy dose today. Okay, Path Prabhu says we can continue this discussion today. So let's take the time. We won't revise chapter 9 and 10 today. Let's take the time on what all you understood. Somebody explain. What did you understand? Many of you answered, work is worship. Is that clear for you all? That work is not worship. But how to make work as worship is first do your sadhana. Everybody, I want to hear from you all.
Yeah.
Naresh
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhuji.
Naresh Prabhu, clear
Yes,
that
Prabhuji.
thief
Prabhuji.
cannot be doing the prescribed duty.
Yeah, Prabhuji. But I heard one Leela that some thief going to steal Krishna's jewelry. So that's why I was intending to say.
Yeah, so Leela you cannot compare as our day-to-day activity, right? Leela will
Okay.
have a specific Leela.
Sure, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So there was a question posted in the chat about Narad Muni and Valmiki something. What was the question?
Yes, Prabhuji, I thought would it be right to ask. Like Valmiki, despite like stealing, he got Narad Muni as guru when he started doing Ram Nam Japa.
Yeah,
That is so beautiful.
this is the mercy of Narad Muni. That Narad Muni is traveling all over and he saw that he was killing animals and he said, okay, chant the Lord's name. And he could not chant because he was so sinful. He said, I cannot chant Rama. So Narad Muni said, okay, you are killing everybody, right? And in Hindi, that killing means mara. So you said you are killing everybody, so you chant mara mara. So this person who was a sinful person, Narad Muni gave him mercy. He said mara 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 mara. Well, he kept chanting mara mara mara. It ended up becoming Rama Rama Rama. Right? So this was the mercy of a pure devotee. That's how he got purified and goes on to become purified. Follow me?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, and he listened also, I think.
Yeah, it's the mercy that counts, right? Like if I go and tell anybody to listen, I don't have the ability to give mercy to anybody, then why they would not listen? But it's the mercy is the starting point. That's why they end up listening. I mean, the association of a pure devotee itself is purifying, right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes.
So rest of you, everybody crystal clear on so many things that we discussed today. Somebody wants to explain some striking points for you today. Everybody should have at least one. If you are listening with rapt attention. Shruti?
For me, it was work as worship, not work is worship. That was a
Yep.
striking point.
Very good. Rest of you, if you are listening with rapt attention,
Prabhuji,
you should have at least one striking point. Shivanshi?
Prabhuji, there should be a proper balance between work in material world and that too devotional service.
Very good. Priya? Priya Darshini, unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We should balance between both material and spiritual duty, and while chanting, we should try to connect with God.
Very good. So from this point on, how are you all going to chant? Is it chanting like me to put a tick mark? Or you will chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you'll have that connection. How will you chant? Somebody?
Yes, sorry, Prabhuji, I have one more. That
Right.
was my realization or striking point as well. When you explained how we need to chant, when you mentioned that like Krishna, it should come from heart.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps. Sorry.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Very good.
Prabhuji, we must chant knowing that we have a separation from Krishna, and our chanting should basically bridge that separation. So we should chant with so much devotion that us and Krishna, the separation is not that much.
Yeah, very good. Follow me.
Yes, Prabhuji, that was very beautiful. When I got goosebumps, that chant with feelings, because in many cases I think of other things, sorry to say. But
Very good. Yeah. So change from now. That's a very good thought. Raksha also, thank you. Chanting with feelings. Yeah, very good. Many of you are still silent. You all should have at least one striking point. Still have about 10 minutes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So for me, the striking point is like Bhagavad Gita teaches us not to renounce work. There should be renunciation in work.
Very good. Karma. Very good. Many of you still have not spoken.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So for me, the striking point is that we should focus on our morning sadhana, and it's a protecting cover for us, and we can functionally present to our workplace. And yeah, that's the point.
Okay, very good. Riya, Nabina, was that heavy for you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, it was heavy, but I think Prabhuji, my striking point was understanding what is the prescribed duty, which is the perfect balance between material duties and spiritual duties.
Very good. Nabina?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my striking point was chanting with feelings.
Very good. Padma Kumar, Matan?
So Hare Krishna. So in nowadays, so everyone's duty is almost the same. It's not according to Varnasrama. For Varnasrama.
So duty is not same. Everybody
prescribed duty. I mean the prescribed duty.
Yeah, it's not the same for everybody. Everybody is doing different duties. Therefore, scriptures
Not according, not based on our in Varnashrama, like whatever 4 Varnas.
Everybody is Shudra, right? So everybody is doing some work. Prescribed duty, scriptures do not give you a laundry list that person A, this duty, person B, this duty. No, it does not give a laundry list. Scriptures only give you a principle that the honorable duty in the material world that allows you to keep your body and soul together, maintain the family, as well as do have enough time for spiritual duties. That's your prescribed duty. If you look at all of us, we all are in different professions. Scriptures don't tell you this profession or that profession. Matan?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, thank you.
Was it Padma Kumar who had the hand up? Somebody had the hand up?
Prabhuji, I have just one question.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned like not to over endeavor. What about like whatever we want? Basically, is it like we can do it, but we have to keep Krishna in center and not to renounce that just because we're in Krishna consciousness?
So a cruel verse is coming up very soon. It's 18.61, known as a cruel verse, that you get what you deserve, not what you desire. Right? So based on your karma is what you will get, is what you deserve. Otherwise, my desire is unlimited. So 18.61, that cruel verse is coming up very, very soon. That not according to my desire, but according to what is there in my karma. Shivaji?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shruti?
Prabhuji, one question, like, why is it 16 rounds of chants in a day?
Yeah. So actually it's 64 rounds. Scriptures have 64 rounds as the standard for chanting japa every day. So when ISKCON started, devotees were not purified, and Prabhupada showed them the scriptures and says, scripture says chant 64 rounds. And devotees came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, it's impossible to chant 64 rounds. So Prabhupada said, okay, I understand, because everybody was new. They were all, like if you look at Prabhupada's initial disciples, they were all hippies. I mean, to ask them to chant 64 rounds, it was impossible. So they went to Prabhupada because Prabhupada is their spiritual master. So Prabhupada reduced it to 32 rounds. He said, I understand. Plus Prabhupada said, I understand Kali Yuga is also there. So Prabhupada reduced it to 32. Prabhupada is a Shakti Avesha avatar. And he said, okay, now chant 32 rounds. And the devotees, after a few days, came back to Prabhupada again. Said, Prabhupada, 32 all rounds is also impossible to chant. We don't have that purification. We don't have devotion. So Prabhupada then reduced it to 16 rounds. And he said, I am not going to reduce it any further. And simultaneously, Prabhupada said, chant 16 rounds and simultaneously build in doing devotional services such as bhoga offering, such as deity worship, such as reading scriptures. So Prabhupada added all these other components to compensate for the reduction from the 64 rounds. The standard, even today, from scriptures is 64 rounds. And many spiritual masters, many pure devotees, they chant 64 rounds every day. Shruti?
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Parth, Pratyush?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a kind of a moral dilemma, so and I'll try to formulate this in the best language. We see even in Mahabharata, Krishna, while guiding Arjuna, did cut some corners, or did some things which was a bit, which can be considered out of, like notwithstanding the principles of war, for example. But the final result or the final aim was to make sure that there's a leader who establishes dharma.
Yeah.
So in this modern day and age, that is Kali Yuga, if you see the people who are holding power, they are mostly evil. Like the more lies you say, the more evil you are, in this day and age, the more successful you become. So my dilemma is, shouldn't a devotee at least try to have ambition to reach either the leader of a company or the leader of a country or whatever, so that they can influence more people to become good devotees, or so they can have a positive influence to ensure dharma, or
So
no?
this, so there are 2 points about. First is about the so-called incorrect things. So this will come up in 18.78. It says dhruva nitir matir mama. That niti means morality. There is material world morality and there is spiritual world morality. The spiritual world morality is higher than material world morality. So just as say killing of Karna or so many other killings that were done improperly, all that was because of spiritual morality, which is higher than material world morality. And this question about wanting to be a leader, another devotee from the Bhagavatam class has already asked this question also. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse given in Canto 4, where this exact, almost verbatim to what Pratyush Prabhu was asking, is there in the purport, that Prabhupada said that we should not try to become political leaders. But when we are seeing all this corruption and mismanagement and Shudras incapable in leadership positions, we as devotees should simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that's the solution Prabhupada has given. That right now we are not qualified enough to be a Brahmana, to kill somebody with the mantras, like how Brahmanas killed Vena, who was an atrocious king. The Brahmanas killed him by mantras. Prabhupada said, we don't have that qualification right now. We don't have those Brahmanas. Therefore, we should simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That potency of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will purify a little bit around us in the world, but we should not try to become political leaders. There are some devotees as political leaders. For example, Hema Malini, the film actor, she is a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. She is a minister in the government. Or there are a couple more also like this who have that inclination. Yeah, go and do, but we should stay away from that. Patish.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I understand, but in my opinion, I might be wrong also. I think it can be a bit of a passive outcome. Like if we see the example of a neighboring countries, there was an ISKCON head who was arrested on unjust charges. So in those situations, in my opinion, I think we do need to have consolidated some power, because we can chant the Hare Krishna mantra, but when it comes to someone facing swords, yeah.
We do have power. ISKCON does provide that support. We do have the power, that joint support for sure.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Raksha, last question quickly.
Mute.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask, like, should we have material goals or not? That means, like...
So it's okay to have material goals as long as you have balance. And we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita, that whether I am so much focused on material goals only, or whether I have Krishna as the center, will get tested when my material goals and spiritual goals collide. So am I choosing the material goals or am I choosing Krishna? That's when it gets tested. So it's okay to have material goals as long as you don't get carried away. Akshay.
Yes, Prabhuji, got it.
All right. Thank you all for tolerating. We are just past 10:30 p.m. Toronto time. So next week, I will share my screen again. The devotees need to choose the rest of the presentation slots that are empty. So there are few slots empty. For example, chapter 11 and a few other slots also. So try, those who have done first, I said, do the next. I also consider to do the whole chapter. There are few slots available. Pick up the slots. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.